Hey guys, my name is Andrew Henderson from Nomad Capitalist, nomadcapitalist.com, and the author of this very controversial book called Nomad Capitalist on Amazon. A lot of people have been out there complaining about some of the stuff we talk about in the book, all 100% legal stuff that's in the book, and why you shouldn't have these options. A lot of people I've been seeing lately are up in arms about the book. But in this video, I want to talk about how people are up in arms right here on our YouTube channel. And we're going to explain how I got decimated, vanquished, blown away by a commenter here on our channel. I guess that's the terminology that people use these days. I'll be looking around and I'll see, Ben Shapiro buries liberal lunatic. That's what every video seems to be these days. And we had a commenter who went on to my video, Why I Renounced U.S. Citizenship, and left a comment that I think he believes vanquished me for all eternity. So I'm going to walk through it, and I want this to be an interesting lesson because I want to go through bit by bit what this person said, basically decrying the nomad capitalist lifestyle, and I want to share my feedback on each point. Basically, every single one of this person's points is wrong, either factually inaccurate or just based in emotional nonsense. And I want to do this, number one, so that you understand on an emotional level that there are people out there who are with you. That's why you're here on this channel. But I also want to go through, because I know that even some people who start to get into the nomad capitalist lifestyle, there's sometimes that one little thing, that seed of doubt in one particular area where they get held up in doing what they need and want to do because there's that seed of doubt. And so I want to go through a lot of the arguments that the traditional anti-nomad person has to make. This person, his name is RW, and he commented on my video, Why I Renounced U.S. Citizenship. I'm going to get into his comment. We'll read it word for word, and I will go through each and every one of the points. Now, really quickly, before we do that, to me, as the chief nomad here, as the original nomad capitalist, it's important for me to share my life and to share as much. I don't share everything. I'm not going to tell you where my bank accounts are necessarily. I'm not going to give everything away. But when it comes to the big stuff, when it comes to important parts of my life, I like to share that because I want you to be able to learn from it. I believe that transparency is important. My goal was never to brag about renouncing U.S. citizenship, and I talked in this video, which you can find on our channel, that I felt everyone involved in the process at the government level was very professional, very nice, and this was not something that I did out of anger. But I think that this comment on our channel exactly illustrates exactly what I said in the video and what I told people on an official level, which is I don't feel American. Now, what I've learned is there are certain things that, you grow up in a country, you're always going to have certain traits. Part of that was due to growing up in the country and the country's culture. A lot of that was also due to my parents and the way that I was raised. And so in many ways, I'm different than a lot of people who live in the United States, but there are some things you never lose. But what I found, and perhaps you, the viewer, have found this as well, is that anymore in the United States, you're either Bernie Sanders, where you want to kick every rich guy onto the ground and take all their money and call them a jerk. Or you're on some other side, I don't even know which side that is now, where if you ever go to a foreign country, you're probably going to get food poisoning, salmonella, and the tap water is going to kill you. And you should be hung in the public square as a traitor. Like, there seems to not be a lot of middle ground these days. You're either like, rah, rah, America, wave the flag, nobody can have another opinion, best country in the history of the world, even though I'm not sure exactly where these people with 9th grade educations got the evidence for that. So you're either that, or there's the other side where it's like, hey, you shouldn't be wealthy. We should all just have free stuff, and you should pay for it. So that is really the issue. But okay, without further ado, let me go through the comment. This is from RW. It's on my video here on YouTube called How and Why I Renounced U.S. Citizenship. Maybe you want to go and respond with your opinions. Maybe RW would like to hear your feedback. Nothing vile, please. Nothing obnoxious. Just maybe you want to respond to RW. Here's the comment. We'll go through it piece by piece. Crocodile tears for the extremely rich people who have raped our economy for years. So this is a common thing. that people say about anyone who ever wants to leave the United States. By the way, I don't think you have to renounce for them to say this. If you just remain a U.S. citizen, go live somewhere else, get some tax breaks, they'd probably have the same thing to say about you. I'm not sure how I raped the economy for years. I started numerous businesses. I hired people. I paid a lot in taxes, probably more than RW. Who knows? Just a guess. Just a guess. I probably paid a lot more in tax than RW. And then the other thing is, what is extremely rich? I mean, by global standards, if RW is in the United States, he's extremely rich. You know, why should you have 2 cars in suburbia? Why shouldn't you have 1 car or 0 cars? Why shouldn't you take the bus? I mean, what is extremely rich? Am I extremely rich? Are you extremely rich? I don't know. There are plenty of people who are renouncing their U.S. citizenship in Canada who are extremely middle class, but they're getting sucked into the tax system because they have a job in Canada. There's just a lot of paperwork, a lot of filing requirements. I don't think those are the extremely rich who have been raping society. They're in Canada paying a boatload of tax. I paid a lot of tax. I followed every, tax law. And, okay, this is a common thing. General anger against the rich. You can stay, you can go, they hate you regardless. So that's the first point. They'd rather leave their own country than pay ever-decreasing taxes. Now, I don't know about you. My taxes in the United States didn't really go down. I started making money when George Bush was president, and the top federal income tax bracket was lowered to 35%. I guess there have been some ever so mild changes, but I guess I made the bulk of my money after Obama came in, and they'd raised that. There was the Obamacare levy. There were different taxes, and so I'm not really sure what these lower taxes are. For the average small business owner, you're still just paying at an individual level. Now, the corporate tax rate went down after being the highest in the world for God knows how long. The U.S. corporate tax rate is finally kind of on par with those other, anarchist countries like Norway, who have rates in the low to mid-20s on the corporate level. So I don't know what these ever-decreasing taxes are. So I think that people have it backwards. I didn't want to live in the United States, and so I figured out, well, hold on a second, why do I want to keep paying taxes in the United States? I mean, if we're going to do the Bernie Sanders thing, every other country, in the history, every other developed country in the world, they have free Medicare. What every other country in the world also has is they don't require their citizens to file forms this big because they have a rather simple structure overseas. Now, all that can be managed. We help people do it at Nomad Capitalist. We hook them up with all the people to get everything done, and it can be managed. But why should a U.S. citizen be disadvantaged versus a British citizen, an Australian citizen who can check out of their country and go overseas and live? Now, maybe these communists don't like that either. Maybe the issue is you should be forced to just stay in the country where you're born for the rest of your life. You're forbidden to leave because we need your money. And that's basically what it comes down to. There's no emotion, there's no rational thought, it's all emotions. They need your money because they need your free Medicare, they need their free college education, they need everything for free, and they don't want to pay for it. Even Bill Maher did a thing where he said the average millennial was willing to pay an extra $1,000 in taxes if that got them free health care and free college tuition. Bill Maher, the liberal, said how ridiculous that is. If you want government services, you got to pay. But in the United States, where everything is like opposite world, it's basically an issue of, unlike in Europe, unlike in the other developed, more socialistic countries, everyone pays for it. You live in Denmark, you just pay a lot of taxes. Whereas in the U.S., people have been conditioned. The middle class, RW's type, have been conditioned to pay these ever-decreasing taxes because they're getting more and more stuff. They want their taxes to stay the same, but they want your taxes to go up to pay for even more. Doesn't sound very equality-based, egalitarian to me. It just sounds like a robbery. And so do I want to pay taxes to a country I don't live in? No, and for 5 years, I spent almost zero time in the United States. Didn't drive on a single road, didn't send my kids to school. My imaginary kids did not go to the schools. I didn't use any of the services other than I went to the embassy once and got a new passport for which I paid a user fee. So the ever-decreasing taxes, I mean, is it fair to pay any taxes if you're not getting any services? You got to follow the law, but that's that. They've got Trump in office. I don't know who's they? They've got Trump in office, and they're still upset they have to contribute what they do. Again, has Trump cut individual income tax rates by half? I don't think he did. In fact, he actually made some of the tax system worse for people doing business outside of their America First system. So, if you want to run a tractor dealership in Nashville, I guess maybe your taxes went down a little bit. But if you're doing anything that involves, importing goods through Amazon or doing consulting or a lot of other kind of global businesses, your taxes may have gone up actually under Trump. And so this is where these people confuse the ultra rich, the Jeff Bezos, the big corporations who get the tax breaks, who lobby Congress to give them tax breaks, and just the average person making $500,000 or $1 million. That person has not really seen a substantial tax decrease. So the fact that we support Trump, I don't know. I've been pretty agnostic to U.S. politics as someone living overseas. Okay, more blather. I hope you like Belize or whatever crappy country you go to. I love the random, this is very Jerry Seinfeld-esque, in that you have to find the country that just sounds kind of funny. If you said, like, I hope you like, Tanzania, that doesn't sound as funny. Like Belize, it's zippy, it sounds kind of funny, it sounds like not even a real country. But besides the mild wit to it, it's absolutely incorrect. I don't live in Belize. I don't know where he got Belize. I know people who do live in Belize, and they like it a lot, actually. Everyone I know who lives outside of the United States likes it much better. Everyone I know almost who visits me from outside of the United States says, "Wow, this is actually much, much better here." So this is kind of the typical mindset that maybe is even a little bit Trump-esque, where every other country is crappy by default. I wonder how many countries, maybe someone should ask, how many countries RW has been to. So, I don't know. How do you know it's crappy if you haven't been there? Maybe you're in the bizarro world and the U.S. is the country that's not as nice. Nope. You will be like the leeches you are. Leeches is misspelled. Living transnationally yet paying nothing to benefit our society. Again, if you're not part of a society, do you want to pay to that society? I don't want to pay to the Norwegian society either. I don't want to pay to Australian society. I don't live in those places, and I don't want to pay to their societies. Living transnationally, yes, we know RW. It's very unfortunate. He can't leave and doesn't want to leave, honestly. Every other country is crappy. Only the United States, with its shootings, and every day there's a school shooting, very sad stuff happening. That's the place to be. So we're going to be the leeches we are. The leeches, creating jobs, hiring people in countries with high unemployment rates, hiring people at higher wages than they would earn in their home country, empowering people to grow, starting companies in countries that want the business and want the tax revenue and want people to be there, living in countries that want successful people to be there and buying their stuff and keeping their restaurant workers employed and keeping their shop workers employed. Yes, you're right. Traders, he says. Actually, I think we used to open our first podcast, Hello Traders. Maybe that one part is true. Not the way he means it, but I'll take that. If that's what it means, I'll take traders. I hope you were in some awful country and have to face their legal system one day without the benefit of U.S. consular assistance. This might be my favorite part, actually. This is the last part of RW's comment. I hope you were in some awful country. I like this, by the way, because what I've realized is, I have a family, and they've decided, my parents, my siblings, they've decided that they want to live in the United States. And rather than when I first started this process a decade ago, where I was trying to constantly convince them to move here or to move there, I'm at peace with the fact that they like the U.S. It works for them. That's great. I don't hope that they hate it there. I don't wish ill upon them. I don't understand this thing of wishing ill on people who think differently than you do. Just me. Seems like that would make me the nicer person, but I don't know. I hope you have to live in some awful country, again, because every country besides the United States is awful, and have to face their legal system one day. For what, I don't exactly know. It's actually a lot easier in most countries to stay legally compliant. Things are much more transparent, and so I don't know what I've done. Actually, the interesting thing is when I recently got approved for St. Lucia citizenship, They go through everything. They go through your businesses. They go through your civil court history. They go through any criminal records. And if they clear you, it's like, you're a pretty good person. And so I was happy to be cleared. So I don't really know. Suddenly, apparently, though, I'm going to be facing the legal system. And then the last part is, without the benefit of U.S. consular assistance. Now, I want to, again, I had a very positive experience with the consular staff at my renunciation. I don't want them to feel impugned in any way. But I can tell you this. When I've been with U.S. citizens in places all around the world, someone loses their passport, someone gets robbed, someone whatever, they call the U.S. Embassy. They're in the hospital. They call the U.S. Embassy. If the people are there, they're like, what do you want us to do? I suppose if you got arrested, they would come and see you, but there are multiple blogs and articles online of people who were arrested in other countries. And someone came and said, here's a list of lawyers, have a nice day. This idea that the U.S. government is going to bail you out, you can go and commit crimes and they'll just bail you out, is absolutely ridiculous. There may be some cases where maybe flashing a U.S. passport scares a few people, or threatening to call the U.S. Embassy scares a few people, which I suppose if you sound or look like an American, you could always do that regardless. But I never wanted to do that. I never felt it was appropriate to do that. And I'm not exactly sure what this great consular assistance is. If you commit a crime somewhere, you're going to face the legal system. So the answer, wait for it, RW, is not to commit a crime. That's the answer. The answer is to follow the rules. But if there's a place where the rules are easier to follow and require a lot fewer lawyers to check and double check everything, then maybe that's a place that you should go. So that's RW's comment. Basically, everything in it is wrong, is an assumption, is a judgment, but I wanted to share it with you because I thought it was interesting to go through what the average person who doesn't want you living the nomad capitalist lifestyle is thinking. Now, we have plenty of people who comment, they leave dumb comments. Congratulations. I'm not leaving comments on their channel, but I wanted to walk you through this to help you feel understood, hopefully, to help you realize that if you do this, there are going to be people who are going to be against you. Maybe in your own family, maybe your own friends, maybe they will call you a traitor. And that's something that you have to deal with on an emotional level, to know that what you're doing in your heart is right and is right for you. I am happy to go where I'm treated best. If, in my opinion, if Malaysia says, hey, someone who doesn't make any money in Malaysia shouldn't pay any taxes here, even if they're living here, okay, what's wrong with that? I'm following the law of Malaysia. Now, I understand the United States might not like that law, or Australia or the UK or some other high-tax country may not like that law because it creates competition. But I'm following the law, and if we're going to have governments, every country should be able to make their own laws, and we have to respect that. The same way that we respect any other law countries make. So, somehow it's okay to shop for car insurance, it's okay to shop for life insurance, it's okay to shop and clip coupons and do everything else, and to call people and shout at them and demand discounts and everything else. But we're not allowed to have competition because the country we're born in should own us for life. If it doesn't own us for life, then we're leeches. And so I'd love to hear your comments of this. I'd love to hear if there's something that maybe feels different for you now, that maybe you can take this and you can remove any seeds of doubt before going out and embarking in this lifestyle. If you just have a general comment, I want to hear it all, leave them in the comment section below. And if you're new to our channel and haven't done it already, make sure you subscribe, because we put out a lot of videos on how to live this leech, traitorous lifestyle where you can keep more of your own money and live a freedom lifestyle, create wealth faster, hopefully build more happiness and more peace in your life on a personal level. So make sure you subscribe, and make sure you go to nomadcapitalist.com lest you be labeled a traitor.